Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 357. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, December 20th, and we are churning along very quickly towards the end of the year. I hope that you are doing well, that you are staying healthy, and that you might be getting to have a little bit of fun for the holidays or just a little bit of a respite at the end of the year, a little bit of vacation. Excuse me. I am working very hard to wrap up most things this week, so I do not have to work too hard next week. Technically, I'll be working a little bit, but I would like to write some articles and do some limited stuff next week. So I'm trying to sort of front load everything so that I can take the week between Christmas and New Year's a little bit easy. There has been crafting this week. I'm on a hat kick, as you probably know if you have been watching my Instagram feed, and I'll be sharing that with you shortly. And I've got tea and a little bit of spinning. So excuse me just a moment. There we go. Today, I am drinking cappuccino in my Oy Vey all day mug, and I have a funny story about this. That's really good. When we went to Arizona for my husband to do his Ironman, we were in a hotel room, and we had a little kitchenette with a microwave and everything, and so when we went shopping, I decided to get some cappuccino mix. Just a container, you spoonfuls into a cup with hot water, nothing complicated. And part of the reason I decided to do that was because I didn't have a tea kettle. I didn't have like all the things that I wanted. I didn't want to have to buy sugar and cream and, whatever else. This was kind of an all-in-one. And they're not great, but they're okay. Anyway, and usually they have a lot of sugar in them, which is fine. It was what it was. And so I started making it. It was okay, but it didn't taste that great. And I got home, and the other night, Wes was watching me make one. And he said, "How much are you putting in there?" And I said 3 teaspoons. And he looked at the box and said, "It's 3 tablespoons. So I had been making really diluted hot water for myself with not very much flavor. Now, I guess I'd been saving on the calories, but I'd also been saving on the taste. So now that I'm making it full strength, it is much, much better. So cheers. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm so congested all of a sudden. It's like just as I sat down to record, of course. So, today's podcast is boring if you're looking for something other than hats, because that's pretty much all I have to show you. I have been on my hat a day kick, which sort of started last year. I had bags of leftover bits of DK and worsted weight yarns, and I decided to turn them into hats for charity. And I had a great time doing it. I worked until I was down to the last bits and pieces and nothing went together. And so I put it aside and decided maybe I'd do it again this year. And I am back at it this year, and I have a few more hats in me before I'm done. I'm getting down towards the end where not much goes together, and I'd have to figure out what I wanted to do. So we're getting pretty close to the end this year. My guess is I'll do a few more days and then we'll go off for Christmas. And I actually have some yarn to cast on for a new sample, which I'm going to show you in just a bit. And so my guess is I probably only have a few more of these in me. However, I wanted to show you what I did this week. This week I have 5 hats since we last recorded, so technically I guess it's not a hat a day. I started posting a hat a day, so I'm still doing that. And I'm knitting. Some days I'm knitting a full hat, some days I'm knitting a hat over 2 days, or 2 hats over 3 days. So let's talk about what I've knit. Many of these are my own kind of vanilla hat pattern, and as it turns out, I'm going to be publishing that shortly as a free download, partially because of the yarn that I'm using. I've been using Zen Yarn Garden. You can use any DK or worsted weight, but I'm going to just write up a short and simple pattern. It's going to be a freebie, so you can make scrappy, happy hats. I think that's probably what I'm going to call it, and just have some fun with it. And it can be for charity, or just for you, or, whatever you'd like. So the first hat that I completed since I saw you last is this one. And it is a bright and cheerful hat, and I had exactly this much pink and exactly this much orange. I have a little bit more of the yellow, and I just had so little of the blue that it turned into the perfect pom-pom. So this is just a basic vanilla hat pattern. I do a 2x2 rib for about an inch or a little more, work up, for kids sizes, generally only about 6 or 7 inches. And then I do kind of a star decrease at the top. Again, I'll be publishing this soon. It's not rocket science. You can do it on your own. But if you're looking for some stitch counts and whatnot, I will be, I need to block these, and then I will write up the pattern and get that ready to go. My guess is that'll be in the next couple weeks if you want to do this. I love doing these hats with literally all I have left. I don't change at the beginning of the round. I change wherever I run out of yarn. It still looks fine. They're kind of color blocky, but it means that last 10 or 15 grams of a ball that you have that you don't know what you're going to do with turns into a cute little hat or a pom-pom to adorn the festive hat. So these are all leftovers of Zen Yarn Garden Superfine DK. It's 100% superwash merino, about 250 yards to 100 grams. And these are leftovers from projects that I have done throughout the year. So the next hat on my needles was another version of Undaunted. This is my hat pattern. It is from Knitter's Pride, and it is free on the Knitter's Pride blog. If you just look up Undaunted Knitter's Pride on Google, you will find it. And the pattern is all on the blog post. There's no PDF download or anything, so you can find that super easily. You do not have to go through Ravelry. This is a slight variation on the pattern. The pattern is two knit rows and one knit purl row, and this one I did 2 and 2, so it's a little bit more waffly. Not a huge variation, and then I had to play with the top to get it to come out right. So this is kind of a variation on it. I used, these are all Stylecraft DK. They are acrylic, and the bottom is gray, the middle is silver, and the pom-pom, again, was just a little bit I had left from when I did the kids' blankets, and that is in apricot. So that's a cute one. The next one after that I did, I think, was another color block one. Again, these are Zen Yarn Garden Superfine DK, and this one's Norway. I don't remember what the others are, and this one was a silver that I did in my sweater, and I had just a little bit of the Norway left over so that I could do a matching pom-pom. I think I might have liked it without the pink and gray, but it's what I had, and so I just kept knitting until I ran out. I had just a tiny little bit of the gray left over, so it will appear somewhere else in the future. But again, just a fun color block hat. The other one I think was 80 stitches. This one is 88. So it's a little bit bigger, and I made it a little bit taller consequently. And so I will be doing maybe one more of these, and then I'll photograph them all together, and that will be part of the pattern that I release. So just keep an eye out for that. The next one that I did is the June hat. This is in Kelburn Woolen's Year of Hats. And I hadn't really given this one a look before because I usually have just a skein of yarn that I want to use, but I was like, wait, I have 2 skeins of yarn that I can use. The light color is Stylecraft DK. Again, that's acrylic, and that's in the colorway silver, as is the pom-pom. And the green is Barocco. I think it's Comfort DK, which is a wool. No, it's not Comfort. I can't remember. It's a Barocco DK. I used it to knit rye socks for my brother-in-law 2 years, last year for Christmas, not this year for Christmas. Last year I knit everyone's socks because it was a hard year, and I thought that would be really nice. And this one is just a simple 2-color pattern. I think it took about... It did not take very much of each. It really did not. I adjusted it slightly to make it a little bit smaller for a child's head because there's only one size. And so I did adjust it ever so slightly, and that's a free pattern. It is only available on Ravelry. Anyway, it's the Barocco DK, and it's a wool acrylic blend. Oh, it might be vintage, Barocco Vintage DK, and it is in the forestry colorway, and I actually have more of both of these, so I suspect I might either do one that's reversed where the light is the main color and the green is the dark color, or I might do something else with either of those colors. I probably have enough to do another hat or 2 apiece. And the final one that I did was yesterday. This is also Zen Yarn Garden leftovers. I had almost a full, well, not quite, no, not a full. I had about 2/3 of each of these skeins left over. I completely used all of the orange. I have very, very little, a very tiny bit, probably not even enough for pom-pom of the gray leftover. And this is Stephen West's Painting Honeycombs hat. I adjusted it to be slightly smaller for a child size, and I didn't use different colors in the honeycombs. I realized that I could have, and I may in the future when I have just very little bits left, because I think it said only about 10 yards for each of these rounds of the contrast color. So this would be a great stash busting hat as well, and I finished this one last night. Like I said, I think I have a couple more hats in me, and I have a couple more bits of yarn that I could use up. I have more of the Barocco DK. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start just a solid colored hat tonight in that forestry green. I have probably enough to do one more, either one of these with lots of little bits, or one more of the color block hats. And I think that's about it. And then I will move into some new knits. So the only other thing that I have on the needles are some Valentine's Day socks for Roxy. And I have made a bit of progress on those. Last week I showed you a sock where I was at the heel flap and gusset, and I actually finished that one. So that one is now done, and these remind me of kind of chocolate and cherry, so I think they'll be good Valentine's Day socks. And actually, though it looks like it's exactly where I was last week, I brought it so that I could show you. So like I said, I finished this one. And now I have done the second. I am just working on the heel gusset. So this one will take me a little more time this week, and then I think this will be done. I'll probably work on it Wednesday night at knit night, which will get me through most of it. That's how I got the first half of the sock done. So I'm hoping to finish these this week, which will have hers done, which means I'll only have to do Miles socks. And I'm planning to wind some yarn for those, and I don't know if I'll start on those before Christmas, but probably the week between Christmas and New Year's I'll work on those. So that makes me happy, because that is, you know, kind of a February, I don't want to say chore, but a February gift, partially done. And if I could get those done early, that would be great. So I send the kids a little Valentine's Day package every year. And every year I send a little something homemade. And since February, mid-February is still quite cold where they live in Chicago, I know that they like socks. So they're both going to get Valentine's Day socks. And then I'll probably go find, usually here I can find a little candy box with about 5 or 6 candies in it. So I send them just a little bit of candy and some cards and some warm fuzzy socks, just to let them know I love them. So that is what I'm working on, and I am using Zen Yarn Garden Superfine Fingering. This is kind of a podcast dedicated to Zen Yarn Garden leftovers. Basically, when I sampled it, I usually end up having a little bit left over, and generally she doesn't want the partial skeins back, so I keep them and I use them for other things throughout the year. So these socks are her Superfine Merino. They do not have superwash in them, so it's not always my very first pick for socks for myself. That said, the kids usually grow out of their socks before they wear through them, so I'm not terribly concerned that this does not have a lot of nylon in it, or doesn't have any nylon in it, so I'm okay doing that. So, and I love these. So I don't think there's going to be enough to get anything else for me out of it. I may double it up and use it as something in a hat. Oh, and I have some red. I may be doubling this and using this in a hat at some point. So, the last thing I thought I'd talk about, like I said, this is Zen Yarn Garden podcast. I'm joking because they do not sponsor this in any way. I just do a lot of work with them, so I have a lot of their yarns. The next thing that's coming up on my needles is a new sample knit, and I have the pattern here, so I can show you. The shawl that I am going to be knitting is, and I actually printed out a picture because there was a picture on a page, and so I printed it out in color. It's a little hard to see, but I will be holding it up for you. This is the Courage shawl, and I believe it is by Shannon Cook, and it's a little hard to see. They actually set it up in sun, so part of that is not the glare off the camera. It is a 3-color worsted weight shawl. The original shawl was done in, I Kilburn Woolens Germantown and Spin Cycle so that it actually gradiates through it. It's a light, a dark, I believe it was kind of a natural, a navy, and then one of the Spin Cycle colorways that is a gradient. I am doing mine in Zen Yarn Garden because this is going to be a kit for them, and I am doing it in their natural undyed, in their black, which is this is actually Midnight. So that's what I've got here. And then instead of Spin Cycle, we are using their gorgeous marled Nightshade base. The Nightshade base is I think it's a 3-ply. It might be a 4-ply. I cannot remember. It is 100% superfine superwash merino. And one of the plies is, oh no, it looks like it's more than that. It might be 5-ply. 6-ply? It is, one of the plies is black, so it doesn't take color the way the rest of the skein does, and this is in the chuffed colorway, so I see royal blues and magentas and some oranges in there, and I'm sure I'll see more colors as time goes on. So I have 2 skeins of each of these, and that's what I am going to be working on next. My plan is to take that shawl with me over, I need to wind some yarn. And my plan is to take that shawl with me over Christmas. We're just going to be at my in-laws for a couple days. And so my plan is to take that with me and work on it while I am there and hopefully make some really, really good progress. It is a worsted weight shawl, so it should knit up fairly quickly, although I do have, I cannot remember how many yards. Well, let's see. It might tell me. It might tell me. 1 skein of the natural, 2 skeins of the navy, so 300, 400, 300, 4, 520, 620, 7, 820, so about 900 yards, I think. So this shawl should work up fairly quickly. It should be nice and warm, and my hope is that I will get through it fast enough that we'll have it out in January as kits. I have really started to like worsted weight shawls. For the longest time, I knit fingering weight shawls because I loved the yardage and I loved that you could get a crazy big shawl and it was lightweight. But I have to tell you, particularly when winter and the cooler temperatures come around, I am loving my worsted weight shawls, the ones that are thick and fluffy and have a little bit of weight to them and really make me feel warm and cozy. So that is what's next on my needles, along with my hand-spun Christmas socks, which I am planning to start this week. So those are the 2 projects I'm going to take with me. I'll probably knit hats until I go. I have also been knitting chickens. If it seems like I don't have enough going on behind the scenes, I've been knitting chickens. I've had a lot of tech editing work in the last few weeks. I have some new clients, which has been great. And so I am looking forward to working this week and getting a lot done, and then maybe taking it a little bit easy next week and, you know, cutting out of work a little early and knitting the afternoon away. So I have very, very small spinning. And I will not have very much spinning because we will be away for a few days and I'm not going to take my wheel with me. I did finish the first bobbin of Botany, which is a Hello Yarn fiber from earlier this year. It was a club colorway on Rambouillet, or Rambouillet. I think in French it's Rambouillet, but I don't know. Rambo is how a lot of people talk about it. Rambo is a merino, and it's really soft and springy. The locks are really, really crimped, and so they have a lot of spring, and they're super soft. And so this should be a bouncy yarn. As you remember, this was, or maybe you don't, it was in autumn colors. It's in yellows and oranges and kind of burgundies, and then we've also got some gray in there. Unfortunately, the way the bobbin is wound, you can only really see the lighter colors, but you get a sneak peek at some of the other colors. I am in the middle of the second bobbin, and my hope is that I will get to ply it before I come back and see you next Monday. So hopefully I will have 2 all new projects to show you in addition to a few more hats. And I think that's about it for this week. I know it's a short one. We'll be coming home on Sunday, so I should be able to podcast on Monday the 27th as usual. And I will say before I leave, I don't know what holidays you celebrate or how you celebrate, but I hope that you have a wonderful end of year celebration, that you get to spend a little time with your chosen family or friends, or not, if that is what is most restful to you. I wish you healthiness and happiness while crafting. I'll see you again before New Year's, and I guess maybe next week I'll talk a little bit about the year in review. Although this year I feel like if you survived 2021, you are coming out ahead. So I wish you a wonderful week ahead, happy crafting, and I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!